Okay, Anna, with your beautiful Mediterranean background, Anna, thank you for coming on and having a little bit of a conversation with me, a short conversation about your experience over the last few months. So, um, would you just like to start by sharing a little bit about what your goals were when you first sort of found me or came across me? Sort of how were you feeling and what were your goals, or did you even know what your goals were?
Well, I knew what I didn't like about my life, and it was interesting. I have a friend that I had worked with, gosh, I want to say 10 or 15 years ago, and I saw her at an event, and she looked incredible. And she was glowing, she looked beautiful. She had a wonderful energy about her, and I asked her what on earth she had been doing because she looked so amazing. And she told me about you. And so that's how I found you. And she had told me that she found out from one of her friends that she had seen who had undergone a similar transformation in her life. And I have gone from diet to diet my whole life. And I had been struggling to lose weight and just couldn't ever, in the beginning, I think the first few diets I could stick with it, at least for long enough to see some results, but they never lasted. But as I went further on in that process, I couldn't even do it. I couldn't commit to it. And it was really frustrating. I was at a place where I was the heaviest I've ever been in my life, including when I was 9 months pregnant. I was not able to think clearly, didn't have energy. And when I say didn't have energy, I mean, I felt like taking a nap every spare moment.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be dramatic about it, but that's just the way it was. So my goals were to have a life. I still have young children at home and I wanted a life. And I didn't know what that was even going to look like. I just knew that something had to be different. And I saw my friend looking like what I wanted. And so that's how that all began.
Wow. And so when you said, and I obviously remember, and I remember speaking to you a few months ago, Anna, um, when you said that you've tried all of these different diets, and certainly it's not through lack of trying, it's not through lack of diets, it's not through lack of all the different approaches you've tried. And you said that you got to a point where you almost didn't even want to try. Was that because you were like, okay, I've been burned so many times, or it hasn't worked for me so many times that kind of, what's the point? What was that thinking that made you just go, there's almost like no point trying something? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'd been through so many that I had been burned so many times. And you own that for good or ill. You feel that sense of failure. And that failure starts to heap up in massive piles in your mind. And it's difficult to dig your way out of that. And I had actually been exposed to whole food plant based before, and I loved the way I felt on it, but I couldn't sustain it.
Yeah.
And so that truly is what made the difference with this program is
Yeah.
that I mean, diet is an important part of it, but
But
it's everything else. It's all of the support. And it's not cheerleading support, it's practical mindset. It is understanding the nuts and bolts of why you're doing things. It's taking a long approach rather than, boy, am I going down a half a pound today? And then feeling like a failure if you don't, or being ecstatic if you go down a whole pound. It's not about that. It is
yeah,
about creating a life for
yeah,
yourself. And
yeah.
then the weight is just a consequence. Losing that weight is just a consequence of that.
I love that. And I really seen that in you, and I've seen that in your journey, Anna, that you just clicked in to really that deep understanding that this is not about the diet. It's not about what I eat necessarily. I mean, obviously that's part of it, the nutrition and the exercise and the actual strategy. But what I really saw in you was that you right from the get-go clicked into understanding that this is about me. This is about me, my patterns, the patterns, the you that you took to all of those diets over the years and all of those attempts. And I love also that you're now that you have this beautiful kind of love and compassion for yourself and forgiveness for yourself, that it's not that it was your fault that you couldn't stick to any of those things. It was just that you didn't know how to make the shifts, the mindset, the internal shifts to claim the life you want.
Right.
Right? Is that a fair? Is that would you say that was your experience pretty early on in the process?
Very early on. And what has been interesting, so I graduated, 2 weeks ago. So it's only been a short amount of time. I am still expanding my mindset. I am still having these aha moments where I think, oh my goodness, this explains why life was as miserable as it was. And
Yeah,
this explains why life is opening up in a new way to me now.
yeah.
And it's like we try for so long to change our diet and nothing else around us, nothing inside of us. And
It's crazy, isn't
it
it?
is crazy. It doesn't make any sense once you're on the other side and you can see it.
Yeah,
When you're on the other side, just trying to go into a diet, you think, oh, I just have to have the willpower. But oh, Sophie, this shift in mindset has completely changed my life in every aspect. And the weight loss has been wonderful, but it is the other stuff that has truly made the difference in my life and in my family's life. We are a different family in 4 months.
wow.
It's different. It's completely different.
Yeah. And it's funny that you're saying that it's almost like when you look back, I hear you almost saying, what was I even thinking? That, as you say, as the way that you're putting it, Anna, it's just like how ridiculous to think that just by changing the food and the way that I eat and in some cases we see and hear these things all the time, right, on the social media. Drink this shake. That was a new one that comes in every day into my feed. Do the shake, the skinny thing, or the food, or even some convoluted diet. But it's not really what we're talking about. And I love how you said that you've claimed a new life. You from the inside out. You've changed you, and that has had a knock on and a ripple effect on every part of your life, your family, your work, and everything. And that the in a way, the one of the byproducts of that, or one of the side effects of that, is the weight loss. So just because I know anyone who's watching will want to go, well, oh, did you lose 2 pounds? Did you lose 3 pounds? I mean, would you just like to talk about that piece there?
Sure. So at graduation, which is after completing the modules, I had lost 43 pounds. It's
That's
been a couple weeks and I'm now down 45.
Wow, 45 pounds. That is phenomenal. And you came also to the program with some health numbers that weren't quite where they needed to be, correct? And so
Right.
have you seen, you're obviously feeling, you said to me just before this call, you said, I have tons of energy now. And you look, I mean, Anna, you look, I would say, at least 10, if not 20 years younger. So, and it was funny for anyone who's watching, just before Anna and I came on, Anna's picture came up, her old Zoom picture. You know how you have your Zoom profile picture, everybody. And before Anna came on camera, I saw she had her picture. And then Anna came on, I'm like, because I see it. You don't see it so much, Anna, because you watch yourself every day. But the difference is, and I said to Anna, you've got to change that picture because it's got to be reflective. And to me, it is just absolutely astonishing that in only 4 months, the change in you, that here you are, your whole face has changed. You look so much younger, you're glowing. And it is much, I mean, obviously some of that comes from the physiological shifts and changes, which are massive, that have happened for you, but also very much so, I think when we do those internal shifts, it just, everything shifts. So anything else that you want to share about that?
Well, I did my numbers. I had my blood test done kind of towards the beginning of this adventure. And then I had them done at the end, and it was incredible. My triglycerides were probably the most drastic change. They had been in the 400s, and they're now normal. They're low 100s. And um, boy, that affects so many different things in your body. But so I did the blood work and I was completely normal, completely normal. It was so exciting, so exciting.
And that makes you now, as you say, now you're in this place where you have, when you see what you have done, Anna, what you have done, empowered yourself to do and to choose to do now, because there's never, I don't hear one shred of you like, oh gosh, I've got to do this. I have to dial this in. I've got to force myself to do this. And this really is the whole point. For me, it is the most beautiful and magical change. And you've done it, Anna, which is when you shift from actually, I want to, because I love this, because I love the way I feel. I love my energy. I love walking out of the doctor's office and the doctor going, look, you're in good health now. I love not having to worry. Then when you have that love and that passion for what you're doing, it's a total game changer, right?
Well, it's really cyclical in both directions. So when you're feeling awful and you just don't want to do anything, you find yourself doing less and less and feeling worse and worse. But what has happened is a complete reversal of that cycle in my life, where the trajectory has changed and now I'm cycling up. And I find myself, every time I try something new, I challenge myself in a new way. I find my soul saying, you can do more. I had the other day, and this is, I've been on the program and graduated. I thought, I could really up my meditation. I crave that. Like, you start to crave things that are good for you. And this is it's kind of a silly example, but I loved ranch dressing, loved it. I couldn't imagine eating a vegetable without it. And now I could kind of take it or leave it,
Yeah.
and I actually really prefer like a good vinegar or something that is going to heal my body.
Yeah.
You said something really early on in our conversations. You said healing your body one meal at a time. And that has stuck with me and has just been resonating in the back of my mind. And I thought, that is what is happening, is that my body is telling me what it needs to heal. And
Oh,
I'm in a place now where I can hear.
that's so beautiful. And you're so right, Anna. It is a healing protocol, and literally one mouthful at a time. For everybody who's watching, you're either harming or you're healing. On some level you are. And what you've done, Anna, is you've claimed this is what I want, this is who I'm going to be. We call it, your future dream self, for those of you who are watching the program, but you've claimed that. And in 4 short months, the change is staggering. And it's so deep, Anna. It's so deep and beautiful. And without getting too kind of woo-woo about this, there is an energy and there is a frequency that every human being has. And I know I'm very attuned to that in women that I coach and women I speak to. And I will tell you, Anna, that the change in you, when I remember crystal clear the first time I spoke with you, and I know what the frequency was and the energy was on that call. And the change now is just, it is absolutely night and day. So I just want to really thank you for coming on and sharing that with everybody, with me and anyone who's watching. And Anna, what, as a perennial dieter, as a yo-yo dieter, actually, and somebody who'd struggled with your health and your weight was for so many years, what would you say to somebody who's thinking, oh, I don't know, is this just this, something else that another thing, because we get blasted with all of this, weight loss business and everything. Somebody who's maybe hesitant to even book a call or to commit, what would you say to that woman?
I have thought a number of times. I've had quite a bit of weight release, and I recognize that. But even if I hadn't lost 1 pound, Sophie, it would have been worth it because of how it's changed my life. I still have a ways to go. I still have weight to release, but I am capable of doing things that I couldn't have imagined 4 months ago. And even if I never lost another pound, which I think I will,
Yeah, you will.
um, but even if I never did, I could be what I am now, and just continue to learn and grow. And I could be so happy. And I'm not saying that I don't care about the weight release. I want to be clear about that. But this is an inside out change for me. And it is just boy, the peace and um the opportunity that it has created for me personally has been staggering.
Wow. Anna, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time to come on and share. Now you're sharing your light and you're putting your ripple out there in the world. And I know that you're doing that in your family. I know it's so inspiring for your family and for your work and for those around you. So thank you for playing full out, because that was you. I made it available, we coached you, but you made the choice. You made the decision. Only you can make the decision to claim that and to do it and commit to it. And you did that. So I so honor you and so respect you for taking that step and for really claiming what you thought was maybe possible for you. And now, but you took, that leap of faith and that leap of courage. And now oh, yeah, it's possible for me and more. It's like, here I come, world. So just beautiful. And it's just been an absolute pleasure and a joy to work with you, because you've been so coachable. So I really want to thank you for coming on and inspiring others today.
Thank you, Sophie. It's been a game changer. It's been a life changer. And I just can't thank you enough.